Hey guys, today I just want to talk about planning for a trip. It can be overwhelming, and it can be something that just makes your head hurt at the end of the day. We see all these cool videos of all these really cool trips, and the videos are awesome, and the trip is awesome, and there's a bunch of people, and they've got everything all planned out, and then you start thinking about your own trip, and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel so unprepared. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And so we'll talk about a few things to make your trip hopefully a little bit better. So, obviously, the first thing we want to talk about is how do you plan and how do you decide where you're going to go? Well, that's totally up to you. It can be a Utah trip, it could be a Big Bend trip, it could be just, I'm going to go and see how many lakes in my state that I can get to using back roads. It doesn't have to be some elaborate kind of, oh my gosh, this is what everybody's bucket list would have on it. It can be just what's in your hometown and what's in your area. So with that said, you need to figure out how many days that you're going to be able to go on the overlanding trip. And once you figured out where you're going to go, can you do that entire trail or entire trip in the amount of time that you've allowed? And if not, make sure the trip's just not one big loop so that you don't have an exit plane, an exit step, or a place that you can get off that trip really easily. And the other thing that you want to do is you want to be able to figure out what the attractions are going to be on that trip, if there are any. So one of the things that I do is I use the internet as much as possible. I use Facebook pages, overlanding pages, even local area pages. If you're going to a different state, then see if there's an overlanding site in that state. They're going to have better resources for you. They're the ones that live there and go on those. There's in the backyard, so they're going to go on those trails a lot, and they're going to be able to tell you, hey, avoid this or go on this. So research it that way. Another good thing is Google Google Earth, I guess. That's what I use. I love the detail of it. I love that you can plan out a trip, you can mark it, and that you can zoom in so close and use the satellite mapping to really, really look and see if there's any even bridges closed. Now, depending on when that video, or that not that video, but when that map was taken a picture of from the satellite, it could be that that's been fixed by then. So just keep that in mind, but have alternate routes if you do see things like that. Another good thing that I use, or another good tool that I use, is Gaia on my phone with an app. And I love it. It's great for tracking. It's great for sharing. And I've really enjoyed using that on my phone and tablet. So I use those two devices most of the time. And then, of course, once you get to a place, get a map from the local park ranger or city that you're in, to kind of find out if there's anything else that you haven't seen, and then talk to the locals. Go and eat at a diner one night while you're on that trip, and then talk to them to see what it is that you need to look at and what you need to see, what they recommend. So another thing that I think is funny that all of us know that we need to do, all of us know that we should do, but not everybody does it, is map out your trip and then give that to somebody in your family. If you're married, give it to your spouse. If you're not married, a relative or a good friend. Let them know how many days you're going to be gone. And if anything happens, if you don't show up on the day that you're supposed to, or a day's past, at least with that map, they're going to be able to know where to start to look for you. Now, I know in overlanding, and you know as well, that sometimes we plan out a map and things happen. You have to do a detour, or the trees have fallen over that trail, so you have to take another trail. But it'll still give them a good place to start looking for you. And depending on how many days your trip is, they'll be able to kind of figure that out. And always try to keep in contact with people along your trip. If you're able to, unless you're in a super remote area, try to check in every once in a while and say, hey, it's day 3, we're doing good, we made it to this point. That way, if something does go wrong and you don't make it back, they know kind of, okay, on day 3 they were here. So those are things that we don't really think of, but are super safety kind of things that we need to always have in place when we go on our overlanding trips. The other thing is I have asked everybody in the group that's going to go on the Oklahoma Adventure Trail with me in a little over a month to fill out a sheet that has their name, what type of vehicle they have, and then also an emergency contact name with an emergency contact number. Now, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to make a master sheet that's going to have everybody's name and everybody's contact person, and every vehicle is going to have that in their inside it. I'm going to recommend they put it in the glove box so that we can all find it, and then also going to make copies so that they can give their loved ones, so that if something does happen, they know who to contact while we're gone. So just a couple simple little things, I think, for safety that you need to really prepare for on your overland trip. There are a few more things that we're going to talk about that are, I think, pretty important, is expectations. Make sure that your expectations and the expectations of the people that are going are understood. So what's important about having expectations that are understood by everyone? Well, it's so people don't get upset. You may have researched on a certain site a couple things along the trip that you want to see, but somebody else might have researched on a different site and found some different feedback. And they might have found out that there's a couple other things that you weren't aware of along the way that may be just off the trail that you can go explore and go see and take a picture of, and really make your trip an even better trip. So be open to other people's input. Talk about the expectations before you go. Some of the expectations that we talked about is that we want to be set up and in our campsite before it actually gets dark, so that we can get our campsite ready. We don't want to be fumbling through the night trying to figure it out. Also, we know that there's going to be places along the trail that we're going to want to stop and look at. So have that expectation that, you know what, we may stop for 30 minutes at this site. We may stop for 15 minutes at this site. And the other thing is, don't be super stringent on those 30 minutes and 15 minutes. You may get somewhere and it may be the perfect time of day, the perfect lighting situation, or there may be some animals running across that you weren't expecting, and you need to stop and stay a little bit longer to watch. Have those kind of things planned into it. If you've got a trip and you plan on being in the car for 6 hours that day just to get to the campsite, I'd probably go ahead and plan for about 8, because you never know what's going to happen along the trail. Somebody's vehicle gets broken, you've got tire issues or anything like that. So just keep in mind everybody's expectation for the trip. You'll have a lot better trip if you do that. Some of the other things that you need to have a talk with about the people in your trip, and that you also need to prepare for, is tools. You may have somebody that comes on your trip that doesn't have tools, and then you find out that they're an all-metric vehicle and you only brought standard tools. So keep that in mind. Make sure everybody brings their own tools. If they work on their vehicle, great. They'll know exactly what tools they probably need to bring, what type of wrenches and socket sizes they need that they deal with most of the time. So make sure that they bring their own toolkit that is for their type of vehicle. The worst thing to happen is to have a bunch of tools and then find out that your tool size isn't right for theirs, and then you end up stripping all their nuts and bolts and different things like that. So being prepared that way is a good, safe thing that we should do all the time when we go off-road, because you just never know, with the amount of abuse that we put our vehicles through, what's going to happen next. Your vehicle could be totally fine, and then you get out on the trail, an hour into it, something just breaks. It's just what happens. Along with that, make sure that you have fluids for your vehicle. Don't rely on anybody else. Bring the things that you need. The type of oil that you put in there that you want to put in might not be the type of oil that your friend or someone on the trip wants to use, and you just prefer a different kind. So if that's the case, make sure you bring your own. You should probably bring your own anyway. Water, gas if you need gas. Don't depend on anybody else. Make sure everybody has an expectation that they need to bring the things that they need for their vehicle to make it in and out of the trail. That's what a general rule of overlanding is anyway. So keep that in mind. Share those expectations. Make sure that you guys have tools. Make sure that you guys have the fluids that you need to make the trip more fun. There's nothing worse than when someone breaks and they get all upset because they're stuck and they can't do anything. They didn't bring the proper things they needed for their vehicle. Now, I'm not saying that you have to bring spare parts of each thing on your vehicle because something might break, but it's a good idea to have the inexpensive parts, belts, hoses. If you can bring those, that's great. Tools, especially. You'd be surprised how far you can get along with duct tape. So things like that, bring that kind of stuff with you. Don't plan on somebody else bringing that for you if there's something that happens. Or don't be the person that says, my vehicle never breaks. I own a Jeep, I own a Toyota, I own a Chevy, I own a Ford. They never break. We all know that all vehicles break. It doesn't matter what type of vehicle they are. It doesn't matter how old or how new they are or what kind of mechanic you are or what kind of mechanic you use. Things just break. So be prepared for that and plan that in your trip somehow so that everybody has a better time. One of the other things that we've talked about is pictures. I'm a photographer is my background, and so I'm going to want to take pictures. I'm going to want to take video. Obviously, I like posting videos here on the YouTube channel and even sharing that on my Facebook page and Instagram. So I'm going to want to stop and probably take some pictures. So have that expectation talked about. The other thing that we talked about in our group is be willing to share that with your other travel partners. We talked about, hey, look, share your pictures because you might get a cool picture of my Jeep that I didn't think of. Share your video. You might get a cool angle of a video that I didn't get. One of the things we talked about is that, and then if you build a video, if you want to build a video of the trip, ask permission to be able to use their images. Obviously, give them credit for it whenever you've done, and if you're going to post it on Facebook, or if it's just for you and the people that went on the trip and you want to share it with them, then great. They're going to enjoy that. They're going to like seeing a different perspective of the trip than from theirs, and then be willing to share it. Doesn't mean that, hey, I'm taking these videos and you can't share them. Don't be that guy. You want everybody to be able to post whatever they would like to post. But the whole thing is about sharing information, sharing data, sharing videos, sharing photographs, and being patient with people as they're getting their camera system set up to take pictures. And then what goes with that is don't be the guy that takes forever to take one picture of a bird that's flying around. Be mindful of other people's time. You'll have a lot better trip. You'll have a lot more fun, and you'll be better off for it. Now, I know that food can be a topic of conversation with us overlanders. It seems like we're all foodies. We all like to eat. And so that's another expectation you need to talk about with the group. Are you going to have in your group to where certain people plan Monday night dinner, and you're going to plan Tuesday night dinner, and they're going to plan Wednesday night dinner for the whole group, or you're going to be on your own? So have those expectations. Have the expectations of if you're going to do that, you need to bring the food that you want to eat. If you're a bigger guy like me, obviously I'm probably going to eat a lot more than my 5-year-old, 6-year-old daughter's going to eat. And so be mindful of that. Make sure that you have the food and the water that you need for the people in your vehicle, and then also have that conversation of if you're going to do a shared meal plan. If you're going to do a shared meal plan, make sure everybody's on board. Make sure everybody brings their stuff. I've always been the type of person that brings probably a little bit more than I need because I know things happen. Someone's cooler gets dumped and all their food's gone. Someone's fridge that's in their truck, for whatever reason, the electricity doesn't get there and they've ruined all the food in there. That's why I always try to pack some backup meals that are dry food, so that if something does happen like that, we're able to at least eat. We talk about things that can make your trip go better. Oh my gosh, being on a trip with a bunch of hungry people, not a good thing. And then also have that expectation about, if people like coffee, great. Make sure you're able to make coffee. Make sure you bring the coffee that you want. And I know coffee's a funny thing because it seems like there's some people that I have to have my coffee or it's not going to be a good day for everybody around me. And then there's some people that like, you know what, I could care less. It doesn't matter to me. Along with that is sleeping. If you've got people that require a certain amount of sleep, make sure those expectations are known, so that whenever you start getting up at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning because you're out camping, and that's what happens, that the person that wants to sleep till noon doesn't have an expectation that we're going to sleep till noon. They know that, okay, I knew beforehand that we're going to be getting up early and that we're going to eat breakfast, get our stuff together, and move on to the next adventure. So I think really what I have found out in planning this trip that I'm going to go on with 4 different vehicles, I guess, is that expectations are the biggest thing. They're the things that can make or break your trip. So make sure that all your expectations are lined out. Make sure your expectations are known. Make sure that you've shared expectations with everybody, and make sure that they've had input on expectations as well. That'll definitely make your trip a lot better. This is all about all of us having the best experience in the thing that we're most passionate about, which is overlanding and being outside. So I hope this has helped. If you've liked it, please share it. Please tell everybody about it. Go to our Facebook page, go to our Instagram. It's the same. It's all over Overland, and I would appreciate it. And you know, this is for information to share to people about how to have a better experience. Again, I hope you have a great time. I hope you have fun and a lot of adventures. And remember, go all over.